Thank you. Our meeting is supposed to start at 6 o'clock, but prior to calling the meeting to order, I would like to call on Brother Don Johnson from Central Christian Church, one of the ministerial staff there. Don is a longtime friend and is actually Willow Joe's pastor, so we're pleased to have you tonight. And I'm starting early because I know that ministers take a while. So
no pressure, Don.
And Ernie said that I could pass an offering plate if I had the nerve. Well, as Ernie said, I'm the Associate Minister Business Manager at Central Christian Church. I'm also on the Autry Tech School Board. And churches and school boards and schools are in the same business. We're in the business of helping young people grow up to be all they can be. And we both face tremendous challenges as we look at things around us, society, government issues. And I want to read one scripture where God commands us. He says, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. God said that to Joshua as he provided leadership for some of the most significant changes the Israelites would face. And I know you all face significant changes. Claim those promises. Will you pray with me? Father God, we thank you for Enid's teachers, staff, administrative support, as they have provided excellent education for all the children and teenagers in Enid. And we thank you for the men and women of this school board who give their time and talents to provide leadership as public education faces dramatic and widespread changes. Grant the individuals here tonight wisdom to better understand the issues we all face together, and then give them the courage to make decisions that provide continuing improvement in education for all God's children. And at the end of the day and at the end of the school year, may we hear the words, well done, my good and faithful servants. Amen. And may God bless you all for your service. You have made a difference and will continue to make a difference. Thank you.
Don, appreciate you being here. And you are welcome to stay for the entire meeting.
Fortunately, I have a hospital call to make.
Well, that said, I'll now call the meeting to order, and I guess we need to note in the minutes that we have two school board members that are absent tonight, Kyle Whitehead and Tom Abernathy. Everybody else is here. With that said, let's go on to the agenda. It looks like we go to presentations.
Yes, I would like to begin this evening by recognizing Peggy Kanaga, who's the principal of Taft Elementary School. She's going to introduce our pledge leader this evening.
Use this? Yeah, sure. Hi, thank you for having us, and I'm honored to be here representing Taft Elementary. I have an outstanding student with me, Moksh Mohan. Moksh, will you come up? He is a 5th grader at Taft, and he's written out his bio, so I'm going to ask him some questions. We were practicing, and he said I know it all. So, okay, what are some activities that you like to do at Taft?
I do some math activities, social studies activities, and science activities, and like so on and so on.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is math.
Good. What are some things that you do in the community?
I help clean around parks and lakes and stuff, and like little ponds and stuff.
He was telling me that he lives real close to a park, and every time he goes, he picks up the trash around it. I hope that you're teaching others to do that too. What are some of your hobbies? This is cool. I love this hobby.
I like collecting antique cars and stuff.
How many do you have?
Around 65.
I was asking him. He said that he collects model cars, and I told him that when I was little, model cars came in a box and you had to put them together, and I asked him, do you have to do that? And he goes, no, we don't have to do that anymore. So those are the old-fashioned ways. What's your favorite model car that you have?
Model T.
Model T. What are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of the teachers at Taft Elementary and all the staff members and stuff for helping me get through a 5th grade and succeed
You
in
told
life.
him to say that, didn't
I
you?
did. I actually wrote that and I thought I'll pay you later for saying that. No, what's your favorite thing about your class this year?
My favorite thing is my teacher because she's not one of those teachers that don't help you or anything. She helps me around if I have any problems or anything, and then my classmates, when I have any problems, I can ask them and they'll always help me.
Yeah, you do have a good teacher. Okay, anything else you want to add or?
No,
Yeah, would you like to introduce your family?
my mom here.
What's your mom's name?
She's May Mohan.
And what's your dad's name?
He's Manoj Mohan, or you could call him Mike Mohan.
Say that name again. He was telling me that tonight. I went, what?
Manoj.
I love that. He said I could just call him Mike. Anything else? Well, we're really proud of Moksh. Moksh is a great student, and when I asked the 5th grade teachers, it was unanimous. They both said, let's pick Moksh. So I'm glad you're here, Moksh. Okay, are we ready for this? There's no reason.
Present, arms.
Pledge of Allegiance to
the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, arms.
Folks, I have a certificate for you. Thanks again for being here. It's a pleasure. Thank you for coming.
Good job. You might notice that we are back to videoing the board meeting, and we have our media productions specialists in place now, and we've got Mark Ray. There's Mark, and Diana Haslett is right over here. So we'll be getting that program kicked off now. I'm glad to have you all with us.
Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Bierstedt, the principal of Enid High School. He's going to introduce our student reporter from the high school.
My student of the month is Evan Shermack. Joe and Vicki Shermack are his parents. Show choir, drama, connection crew are his school activities. His community activities, performing at Gaslight Community Theater, Farmers Market, camping, paddleboarding, which is, it's a good investment right now, I think, from what I've seen on Shark Tank. Paddleboarding. Get in it. Vegetable gardening and landscaping. I asked he's got a GPA of 3.9, he's in the top 10% of our class, he's a senior class officer. He has been an integral part of every musical since his freshman year at Enid High School. He'll be in the third graduating class of freshmen. They killed all of our grass in front of the school, waiting on their ride. Future plans, studying landscaping and architecture. I went to Mrs. Uthier, and I asked Mrs. Uthier, who's with him a lot every day, I said, write something about Evan. He is a gifted actor with many skill sets, both in front of the curtain and behind. Not only does he play a major role in all Enid High School productions, he also works on building the sets, providing costume and plots, and working backstage. He is also involved in Gaslight Community Theater, working as a crew member, assisting with summer camps, and acting in productions throughout the year. Evan is a hard worker and a pleasant young man, which I'll certainly attest to that. He is always willing to do what is best for the group. He's a wonderful student in class. I brought a couple of clips that I think that Amber worked on that Amber's going to roll at this time, but Evan had the rare fortune of October the 31st, 2 years ago, coming into my office, and then we did some other stuff. But here's Evan. Go ahead and talk to the students.
Good morning, students. I'd like to say that I'll be your new principal. My name is Mr. Pearson. That'll be able to change up for a second. Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Pearson, sure nice to have you here being my dad. Thank you. Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you. I'd like to say that you have a wonderful school here, and I love all the students and teachers here at Enid High School. Thank you. You know, years ago, I had the pleasure of we're here together. We haven't seen each other for 57 years.
Evan is that type of kid. He's brought tons of good cheer to our high school, and he'll graduate this year, and we're going to miss him. But I present to the floor, Evan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like you said, I'm Evan. I truly love Enid High School. You know, it's offered a lot to me, and it's been a really big learning experience for me. I've met a lot of friends here at Enid. I've been here all my life, and I'm very proud to say I get to graduate from Enid High School. Thank you very much.
What is the connection?
Connection Crew is, if you're a junior or senior at Enid High School, we have a thing on Fridays called Plainsman Power. And it's in between our second and third hour, and it's kind of for more freshmen kind of getting used to high school and how things work. And with the Connection Crew, we have like 4 or 5 students that go into a freshman classroom, and we're divided up into groups, and we just go and talk to the kids if they have any problems or something that they're dealing with they want to talk to us about, and we'll go and help them out.
Can you give us just one sentence in your best Mr. Beersmith?
Hello there, everybody. Gonna be watching over your meeting today. I think you're all fine educators. Thank you very much.
Evan, when you read your bio, we know that you're a highly intelligent, talented individual, so when you graduate college and come back to Enid, you could be on the school board.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Going on down through, are we finished, Amber?
Yes, sir.
Okay, with those. Recognize Colonel Lilly. We're not going to cry. I'll start, and then if the superintendent wants to say something to us, Colonel Lilly, we do appreciate your efforts while you've been with us on the board. We valued the input that you've shared with us, and we know that the good thing about Vance is we get some quality people that come through our community. But the problem is we then have to say goodbye when they move on. And so thank you so much for your time on our board and for the assistance you've given us. But most of all, thank you for your service to our country. And we wish you the best as you go on from here.
And you are headed back to Georgia?
Georgia, yes.
Okay, what's the plans there?
Still looking for a job, not in a hurry. Wife, I think, is a little more hurried than I am.
Does she not understand the word retirement, or what?
Not to my satisfaction.
Okay.
But the plan is get a job back there. The kids didn't come out here because of the education system there and the scholarship offered in Georgia. If we stayed, one of the hardest things for the military is the moving, because we lose our state residency every time we move. We have to reestablish. So one of the big decisions for staying there was scholarship opportunities for the kids. So plan is to head back there, keep me entertained / employed while the kids graduate. So.
And did you want to say a word about your temporary replacement?
I will. I was going to say that in comments later on, but it's probably a better time since I don't have to follow you this time. Honestly, I don't know which is harder, following you or following the kids, because that is the best parts of the board. But Mr. Greg Wade is going to assume this position here during my absence. I'm leaving early. For those who don't know, normally our rotations are in the summertime. So he'll be here for the next 6 or 7 months until my permanent replacement comes in next summer. That person's been identified. It's just a while for them to come in.
And that'll be a 2-year stint?
2 years.
Okay.
And for those who remember, Jay McCrowell, she was assigned as our school liaison officer. That position works for Greg, so Greg is no stranger to what Jamie did or what you all do here. So he'll provide that long-term continuity, and we'll have him continue coming, even though that position continues to be actively hired. He'll continue coming in and being that continuity. And if I can, just want to say this has been a great opportunity for me. For those who don't know, I'm appointed by the base to come here, unlike the rest of the board members who are voted and they want to be here. I'm not saying I don't want to be here.
Wait a minute.
I'm saying these folks have the dedication that they have instilled on me over the last several months that I've been here. And they have the opportunity to learn from you all of what it takes really to run a school district. It's really been humbling for me. I'm not sure whether you inspired me to go back to Georgia and join the board or run like hell from it. But it has been a wonderful opportunity getting to learn from you all. And plus, you all have fed me very well over the last 15 months. So thank you very much.
We certainly appreciate your service, and we wish you the very best in all your future endeavors.
Thank you.
And so that you remember us, first of all, we did this the right way. And there's a plaque that you can hang on we want that on the, right, the prominent place in the living room. So that you see that in places and remember us.
Always going right in front of where my wife is going to look every day.
There you go.
Thank you, Colonel. She still laughs when I tell her I'm on the board here after 4 kids and 19 years of school or whatever we're up to now. She still laughs when I'm here.
Just can't believe it. There's a lot of people laugh that I'm here. So. Okay, I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Floyd.
All right. This week is actually let me get my, one second. Here it is. The governor of Oklahoma actually proclaimed this week as Education Support Week, and we have a proclamation that, of course, obviously we can't invite all of our support personnel to the meeting, but we did want, for the record, to read this proclamation into the record and say how much we do value those folks. And we actually, later on in closed session tonight, we'll be discussing the negotiations with that group as well, and hopefully take action to approve those negotiations, which their group has already approved. But this proclamation states that whereas support employees believe that the education of our youth is imperative to the state of Oklahoma and the United States, and whereas the effective education of Oklahoma's young people depends to a great extent upon their environment and the services offered to them in addition to their classroom learning, and whereas support employees play a vital role in the educational process by providing necessary services in order to maintain the proper atmosphere for learning, and whereas under the leadership of the Education Support Personnel of Oklahoma organization, support employees join together statewide to promote legislation and other programs for the benefit of education, and whereas it is fitting that all Oklahomans join with me in a salute to the dedicated men and women who strive to provide a quality environment for the education of our youth. Now, therefore, Governor Mary Fallin of the state of Oklahoma do hereby proclaim October 20th through October 24th, 2014 as Education Support Personnel Week, and Enid Public School joins them in thanking them for all of their service to our school district. So even though they're not all here, I'd like to give them a round of applause.
Couldn't do it without.
That's right. They do good work.
Do we have any audience to visitors?
Yes, sir.
No? Okay. Moving on then, Dr. Floyd, the Enid Dental Association.
All right, we have Dr. Chris Fagan here with us, and he and Dr. Taylor came to see us recently, and also we've got our head nurse, Johnny McIntyre, with us. And the Dental Association came to us with an offer that I'll let him speak about, but it's an offer for them to be able to kind of join forces with our nursing staff to, when they do screenings, to also incorporate some dental screenings. So, Dr. Fagan, thank you for joining us this evening.
Great. Well, first off, thank you guys for having me. I want to say in my tenure at Enid High School and Enid Public Schools, I was called to the principal's office several times. Getting the call from the school board to come see them is a similar feeling. I wrote a little something. I'll probably say this twice because it takes a minute to get your brain to latch onto it. But this is from the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry. 80% of the tooth decay in children is found in 20 to 25% of the population. So 4 out of the 5 kids that have decay come from that small 1/4 of the population of kids. The other statistic that's important is almost all of that 20 to 25% are kids that come from low income or children that are below the poverty line. So what we're doing with this program, let me explain it first. There's a concept thrown around in my profession called a dental home or a medical home. And as you guys read the newspapers, you see that more and more of medicine and dentistry is going to an emergency-only basis. A lot of people are finding their medical care in the emergency room. And this concept of a dental or medical home would be that children find a place that they can go to from when they're really, really young. In dentistry, we recommend by the 12 months of age. But where they find a provider that cares for their needs all the way through till they're an adult. The benefit of that being that we can prevent a lot of the problems where kids aren't going to need to be seen on an emergency basis. The Garfield County Dental Society has proposed a program called Cavities Free. The program was proposed by Dr. Bill Taylor. He's a very humble man. He does not want me to give him any credit for it. He wants it to be the group effort, but I can't not recognize him. The program's in its infancy. We're going to do our first screening on November 14th. The intent of the screening is simply to find the kids who have immediate dental needs. It's not going to be a full exam. We can't take x-rays in the school. But what we can do is we can take a peek in all the 5th graders' mouths, determine who has active cavities. The goal of that would be then to direct them to a local dental provider that can take care of their needs. Now, most of these kids that fall into that 20 to 25%, they're going to be available, or they're going to have, state funds to provide that dental care for them. But really, it's just connecting them with someone that's willing to provide care for a young person. Our first, I call it a pilot screening, is going to be at Taft. The intent is to see every 5th grader in the school system before the end of the year, and then continue this program so that before kids get off to middle school, that they've all been at least seen by a dentist. I'm excited about it. I think it could be a great deal. I think anytime a medical professional can provide some free service, but also, screen a child to maybe find that one kid that, has cavities that's going to make them miss school, that we could avoid a child in pain. I think it's a win for everybody. So, again, I thank you for your time, and thank you for the opportunity to come into the school system and provide this service.
And Johnny, you guys will be incorporating this with vision and hearing screenings that we already do, right?
Yes, we do. We do those screenings as well as screenings for growth through the elementary schools. So we try to make sure our kids are healthy and growing in the way they're supposed to.
And I can't imagine any parent wanting to do this, but I guess if a parent did want to opt out, they could opt their kid out of the screening process.
Yes, we're going to be sending notification home to all of our 5th grade parents, and if they do not want to have their children screened, they can let us know. But we sure hope that they do allow their children to do it, because kids like it. They like to go with their friends and get in the big middle of what's going on. So I hope all parents will allow their children to participate in this wonderful program.
Dr. Fagan, you anticipate this being an annual thing?
I'd like to see it become an annual thing. And I feel like the intent of the dentists in our group, they feel the same way.
That's good. We certainly appreciate the Dental Association's willingness to help our kids out, and I think it should be win-win. board members, this is not an action item, it's just a report. We wanted to fill you guys in on what was upcoming. Do you guys have any questions of Dr. Fagan before he cuts out?
I just want to make a comment that this is not Chris's first time at being philanthropic, because Chris and his dad were instrumental within the last 12 months. I can't remember the exact dates, but bringing a huge event to Enid, where how many folks did y'all treat free of charge out there at the fairground?
I think the final number was close to 1,600, provided over, I think it was $1 million worth of dental in two days. It was pretty well.
It was amazing. I was fortunate enough to be able to volunteer in a certain area, not dental work, but in a certain area out there, but just to see it and see everything that was going on. And we had literally buses come from like Guinan to take advantage of that. So it was amazing, and I appreciate those efforts. So thanks again, Chris.
Thanks
Appreciate you coming, and thanks again. Please pass on our appreciation to the entire Dental Association.
Will do.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys.
Moving on to 4B, discussion of the contract with Engage Learning Inc.
All right. Board members, well, a couple of you may not know the two new ones, but we've been talking, me and the board have been talking about strategic planning ever since I interviewed with this district. And so now we're to the point of starting the process. And board members, I just want to point out a couple things. This little pamphlet that you have at your place is actually the end result of at least our end result document of strategic planning, where I came from. Now, this process will be similar, but it'll also be different. But I just wanted to, those of you that haven't seen it, I wanted to let you at least have a sampling of that. Then secondly, you probably have seen this flyer. I didn't have enough to give everybody today, but this is just a little flyer about the cooperative effort of COSA and the OSSBA, the school board group, and the administrator group partnering in a visioning effort to create a vision for education in the state of Oklahoma. So we want to incorporate that into our strategic planning process as well. And this document that you have at your place is actually the end product, thus far anyway, of the visioning project in Oklahoma. Now, when Oklahoma started their visioning work, they looked at some samplings of other states, Texas, Georgia, and other states, and they kind of tried to pick some of the best pieces and parts of that to incorporate into this state's visioning process. And so we want to this won't be the end result. It won't be the be-all, end-all of our strategic planning effort, but we are going to try to incorporate some of these tenets that are included in this visioning project for ours. Now, so we've been talking about the fact that we wanted to begin a very comprehensive strategic planning process for this district that will most likely start in January, and then the intent would be to spend the spring semester completing that process with a view toward having the end product ready to present to you guys as a document for approval in May or at the latest June. And then once that is approved, it should give us a roadmap for this district for the next 4 or 5 years. And we've got Melody Pascal here with us that I'll turn it over to in just a little bit. But while I've been working on trying to get ready to start this process, I already had in the works to include this on the agenda at this board meeting. And then last week, I got emailed to me the video that we're about to watch, and it falls right in line with what we plan to do with our strategic planning process. So, Amber, if you'll get that started for us, I'll get the lights. Oh, no, they got.
Well, over the last couple of months, 2 educational groups rolled out a project they believe will improve public education. It's called For the People, and it's designed to increase community involvement in the classroom. Joining me now is Joe Salino, Superintendent of Norman Public Schools, and Sean Heim, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma State School Board Association. Well, gentlemen, first of all, thank you for being here. But before we begin, I want to show the video that you brought with you.
It's great.
When you talk about education.
When you talk about education.
When you talk about education.
You're talking about me.
You're talking about me.
You are talking about me.
You are talking about me. You're talking about me.
When you talk about public education.
You're not talking about a faceless institution.
I am the face of education. I am the face of education.
I am the face of education.
I am the face of education.
I may not understand educational budgets or the politics behind decisions
or the impact of testing,
but the result will shape my education.
It will shape if I love to learn, if I will follow my dreams.
I may not understand the conversations you have about education,
but I feel the outcome.
I can't make these decisions.
I can't make these decisions.
But you can.
You can.
You can.
Will you join the conversation about my future?
You walk into most schools in Oklahoma and you will find something positive happening every day.
Public education is the foundation for everything that we do in this country. And it's built on that foundation of public education and public education for all.
Nobody suffers from you being smart. Nobody suffers from you having an education. We all benefit from you being a productive member of society. Here recently, education has become less focused on the individual and more the numbers behind that individual.
I think in a lot of ways we're teaching kids to go pick that right answer out of A, B, C, or D. It's definitely more information given to the students. They're definitely exposed to more type of curriculum, but there's less of critical thinking and decision making.
We've got to look at a way to evaluate a child from the beginning and how we move that child forward.
We're getting away from what the problem is, and that's helping kids be the best they can be. We've got to look at the kids first, and we've got to listen to them because they will tell you if they're being successful. It just all comes down to we've got to start working together. I mean, I don't think it's a lost cause. We can't let it be a lost cause.
The Visioning Project is really a jumping off point. It's a conversation starter. Hopefully it will bring all the partners to the table to talk about public education and what we can do to improve it.
Public education has become this adversarial conversation, when in truth, when you sit down individually, and I have with all these different stakeholders, there's a commonality in what our goals are. And I think the Visioning Project will give us that opportunity to define common goals and bring us forward together as stakeholders.
I'm not sure that everyone trusts educators to do what's right for children. That's why I was so excited about this project. When people see the success that we're having, I would hope that that then causes our communities to trust us, because every community is different. But the bottom line is every district needs to figure out together what's good for their kids, examine the project and figure out where they want to begin, and then get their educators and their community involved, because we can't be successful if we don't have our community and our businesses and our patrons involved with us in it. We can't do it alone.
The school can't exist without the community, and the community needs to be involved with the school.
We've got to make the connection that each one of those students is important.
It has to start with us. We have to be what we want. So if we want them to be successful, we want them to take their education seriously, then we have to take it seriously. And we have to take our commitment to that solution seriously. The role that you play, however small it may be to you, it might be a big role in the life of a kid.
I have dreams for the future.
I have dreams for the future. I have dreams for the future.
These dreams require education.
They require an education that won't fail me.
The stakes are high.
The stakes are high. From teachers
to administrators,
to school board members,
to parents,
to the community. You all have a role to play. Let your voice be heard.
Let your voice be heard.
Shape the face of education.
Shape the face of education. Say yes. Say yes.
Be part of the conversation. Say yes.
Say yes.
Do whatever it takes to build up the students and teachers in my school.
In my school. In mine. In mine.
Say yes.
Say yes.
Embrace a new vision for public education. That's for all people. For all children. For me. For me.
For me.
For me.
For me.
For me. For me.
For me.
Well, first of all, what a great moving video for anyone that cares about public education. Let me ask you both, why this project?
I think there's a lot of reasons why this project. First of all, education, particularly public education, in my view, is the foundation for everything that we do in this state and across the country. And our time and investment in public education is certainly worth this effort and this effort going forward. But maybe specifically, Sean might want to talk a little bit about where we got started and went from.
Well, it really started with the whole reform movement. As educational leaders, we saw where we left a void in leadership. We ran schools, we were principals, we were teachers, and other entities came in and really led the discussion for reforming and improving public schools. And as that happened, we saw most of their plans, their slogans, buzzwords, practices really didn't fit what works best with children. So we decided to bring educational leaders together, talk about transformational practices that work in the classroom, and then bring those partners in to help us to be a part of it, from parents, community members, politicians, local chambers of commerce, to really see if we could move the needle on our public schools.
So is it fair to say that education in general recognizes that there's a need for change, but maybe not the type of reforms that have been pushed?
I think that's exactly right. First of all, as a school superintendent, my colleagues, teachers that I work with, principals that I work with, all believe that we could always get better and that we have to invest our time and effort in getting better. That's part of the profession. What we believe in as part of this project is, though, that the change needs to be transformational, not just reform, and that today's reform movement, in our view, in many of our views, is really about changes that will maybe focus on some kids and give some kids opportunities in certain ways. But it really makes no systemic change in the institution of public education. And our focus is systemic change in the institution that will really affect and impact every student in our schools across the state. And that's what really our change is about.
The point is, public education is for all children. So we don't want to just find pockets of change or change for specific groups of students. We want to try to have transformational practices Joe talked about and share that across the state of Oklahoma, so that schools in Idabel can learn what's working in Altus, and schools in Miami can learn what's working in Gotebo, so we can bring it up together and help all of our schools improve.
So how are you using this For the People project to elicit that change?
Well, we're starting with our groups, the School Boards Association. We have 16 regional meetings across the state. We're now in the process of meeting with them, rolling it out, sharing the concept. Our hope is they take it back to their community. They have strategic planning sessions in their community. They look at the pieces of the recommendations that deal with school policy, practices, procedures, compare that to what they're doing, find those things they think work in their schools, work on that implementation with their community. As they find promising practices, share those so we can grow the document, grow the experience across the state. Some of the legislative pieces, big picture pieces, we'll be working with our board members, but also legislative leaders to talk to them about a positive solutions-based approach. Joe talks about this a lot, and we've talked about this from the beginning. For some time now, we've been known as the group or organizations of no. On education reform, no on A through F, no on certain testing, no on third grade retention. Well, what are we for? So this was about telling them what we're for, having solutions to those issues, talking about what really works for children. If we want to talk about literacy for early elementary students, who knows better than educational leaders? We should have a solution, take it to our legislators and say, this will work. This is really what we want to do to have accountability for our schools. We need accountability for our schools. We believe in it as much as anyone, but we want an accountability system that truly gives a picture of what's happening in the local school. Are we helping students grow from grade to grade? You know, what's happening in the school so parents and community members know, not a system that may give an A or through F that is 9 months after the assessment took place and way too late for that data to really help schools make data-driven decisions.
We believe that the discussion on public education needs to be broad and inclusive. Those that are involved with reform today need to be at the table. Policy makers need to be at the table. Business leaders, parents need to be at the table. We think the Visioning Project gives us the opportunity to bring all those people to the table to again discuss this idea of systemic change in the system. But the other piece that we also believe is that educators should lead the discussion. And whether it be superintendents, principals, teachers, local board members, they're closest to the students, they're closest to their communities. But again, the discussion needs to be broad and very inclusive. We think the Visioning Project gives us that vehicle for that discussion.
So is it fair to say for this initiative to be successful, it's going to need that community involvement, those grassroots efforts from district to district?
Yes. To have long-term systemic improvement in the school system and each individual district, it takes everyone. It takes the parents and the community members to buy in to those expectations and what's going on in the school. They have to think it's important, and they have to expect their children to be college and career ready when they graduate.
We need to move away from what we've kind of called reform by slogan. Just giving the bullet that's going to be the silver bullet to fix public education. There is no silver bullet. There is no slogan that makes that systemic change. We believe this Visioning Project is a basis for that discussion to really make change in public education and to ask for a commitment to public education for all kids, not just avenues for kids to get out of the public education system, which is, I think, where the reform movement has gone to this point.
So is this an initiative that district to district can decide what they do with it?
You know, our vision of this is that we want to be held accountable, we want to have high standards, but we believe that there's not a top-down single way that that's achieved. This is an initiative that isn't top-down. It's something that districts can use either as a starter for strategic planning, as a basis for discussion as a community about what they want their public schools to look like, and most importantly, create that local investment in their schools, but with the expectation that there's standards that all of us have to meet so that students have their best opportunity to be successful. We can resolve those problems at best at the local level, and this is an opportunity for a great dialogue related to that.
Mm-hmm. Joe, Sean, thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Now, we'll continue this conversation on our website. Just go to okhorizon.com and look for it under our value added section.
All right, so that folds right into our process, and I think they made a number of good points there that valuable strategic planning is local, and we know that that's where the input needs to come from, and where true reform and change really needs to occur anyway, not federal or state handing down the mandates that they feel is right for every local institution. So we, a couple more comments and I'll turn it over to Melody. When I did this last 5 or 6 years ago, I utilized a lady named Shannon Burke, and she was our facilitator and did a wonderful job. At that time, she was with Cambridge Strategic Planning Services, and since then, she has created her own company. It's called Engaged Learning, and Melody works with her. Shannon no longer goes out and does what Melody is doing tonight. She's the CEO, and she has some folks that do that. But they put together some great educational minds that have great experience in what they're doing and are committed to moving school districts forward and preparing kids for the real world, especially on areas that are included in this visioning document and in other states. So, having said that, I'll turn it over to Melody Pascal, who is not too far away from being Dr. Melody Pascal, and she's trying to finalize that. But Melody, thank you for joining us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you. Actually, right here, I'm going to return it to you.
For board members, let me tell you what you have in front of you. You got a couple of documents that she'll be referring to. You got this single sheet that says role of district leads in design transformation. That's a single sheet. And then you have a copy of her PowerPoint that she'll be going through at your place as well.
All right, President Carrier, Dr. Floyd, members of the board, thank you for having me today. It's a great opportunity to be here to visit with you about engaged learning strategic planning process. I can say if those two students represent the majority of your students, which I'm sure they do, you're very fortunate. I was able to talk with the senior, and he's so articulate, so talented. So I'm excited to be here to be a part and work with you guys on developing your strategic plan. We're committed to facilitating a process that is unique based on your needs here in Enid, and we want to make sure that the outcomes reflect your values. And so I want to talk to you about the process on how we make sure that it's a plan that is customized just for you and what you guys wish for your future for your students. So, with that being said, I did do some research on the information from your visioning document, and so I've included some things inside there to show you that we will be making connections. Of course, this is one resource, like Dr. Floyd said, that we will be using, but since it is a conversation piece about the direction that Oklahoma wants to go, then we definitely will be looking at it as we go through the process. So their vision, this is their vision statement for the in the document for the people. The actual document, if you guys need some bedtime reading, is 146 pages. But they have a guide that I think you have here in front of you that's around 30 pages that gives a synopsis of it. So looking at that, I looked at their vision statement and some of the goals that they have and some of the research that they've cited. And I wanted to explain to you that we definitely, our process definitely aligns with their thinking. We definitely want the end product to be about making sure we help you help each individual student in your district be exactly what it is that they want to be. And so we really talk about the environment that we can help provide and help facilitate with you. And we really focus on the student's future and what it's going to be like. It's hard to imagine if you have a kindergarten student, you know, in 18 years, what it's going to look like, or in 15 years, what it's going to look like. But we really try and we use lots of research about what employers want, what the competition is, and we really focus on making sure that that is part of the conversation like they mentioned in this process.
Amber, you want to move over there and you can flip the slide for us when she gets ready.
So I had the opportunity today before the board meeting to visit with your leadership, the cabinet, and I can say that you're in good hands. Of course, you know that. But we talked about this process as well. Here are the goals that they have on their website about building support for an educational vision. That's what your strategic plan will be. And we'll talk about the pieces that finalize a very clear vision for your district. We also want to make sure, and I'll talk more about, that we get all of your stakeholders involved here in the community, which would involve business leaders, students, parents, teachers, everyone that you can think of that will touch your school system in some way. I've already written down the dentist's name, so we can make sure we invite him. So that says a lot too. He went to school here, he came back, and he really is committed to making sure he gives back to the community. So we'll focus on making sure everyone is engaged and involved. Sorry, I forgot. Amber's helping me.
Tell me what.
Okay. So this is a piece of research that they use just to show you that we will continually be pulling research that is in the document as well as research in the nation and across the world. But they talk about this is a big piece of the research that they used in For the People, where they talk about the 5 priorities for educational change. And again, I will go through and explain to you how all of these pieces are incorporated in engaged to learn strategic planning process. So we have 5 steps. We've tried to make it easy, right? All the research says that, you should have things very clear and very systematic ways of explaining things. And so being in education myself, this going on close to 30 years, we've really worked on making sure the process is very clear and that it's very clear for people to understand where they can come and engage with us in this process. So the very first stage that we have is called the engage stage, and that's where we gather as much information as we can from your entire community. We'll go into more detail on each of these steps. Collaborate is when we gather the people. We go into the design team, which is a cross-section of people in your community that will take all of the data that we've collected and begin to create your plan with your belief statements, your vision, your mission, your learner profile, and your goals. And then from that team, we'll go into a create phase where we create action plans for the district, and then into the lead portion where we actually put those objectives into measurements, where we measure, right? Make sure that they are in terms where we can measure the objectives and then integrate them into your district and campus plans. So Dr. Floyd told me I had till 9, is that right? Just kidding.
Dr. Floyd doesn't have the gavel.
So you can click through this one. It'll click. Yeah, that's it. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. So what we want to do is we want to use your resources, which your most valuable resource, and the majority of your budget, I'm sure, is your personnel, your people. And so we want to make sure that we're using all of those people wisely and that their time is valued, and we're very smart about working smarter with the plan. And then also, of course, that your financial resources are used appropriately. And so we take all of those are the main pieces, because what happens are everybody's working as hard as they can work, more than likely. And so what we want to do is we want to take all of those components and really put them in a systemic way of looking at things so that we can use these things more wisely in order to make sure that your district is capitalizing and moving as fast as they can with the right resources.
Yeah, and one of the things that is very important in this strategic planning process, I think, is that you don't want to just go through this process. We don't want to go through this process and just dump more things onto teachers that are already overburdened. So part of the process is to look at everything that we do and to see what we can strategically abandon. In other words, what are the things that we spend our time on that really don't make a difference, and strategically abandon that such that we can focus on what we all agree on are the important things that will be parts of this plan.
Right. So this phrase at the beginning of this picture is from the document that you have there in front of you from the Oklahoma Schools For the People. And it really is focusing on exactly what we just heard from Dr. Floyd, that we want to take our systems and policies that support learning, and we want to support those and not just make things fit, right, but make it powerful, meaningful learning for all of your students. So that everything that we do is student-centered, and you're going to hear that throughout the presentation. We continually have the students first and foremost in mind, and they are an intricate part of the entire process, the students themselves, which sets us apart from many other strategic planning companies. Is the amount of community engagement we have is significantly different than many of the other people that do strategic planning, because we believe, just like your visioning process, that it should be a community effort. And again, that's when you'll get more things like the dentist, really people in your community really very much wanting to come and be a part of the school system, which is what you want. So part of our process is really talking about what is future ready. And so we really spend a lot of time during the summits, which I'm about to visit with you about, talking about what does that future look like. And we really want everyone to be focusing on the students' future and not our past. And so we really talk about the research and what that looks like and what they're saying is our students' future, so that we make sure the plan is designed for that. So these are just a sampling of some of the research that we'll share when we're talking with your community. And basically, again, we're letting them know that it's a very different world that we live in, that our students are going to be changing careers. And not just like myself, I've been in education going on 30 years, but every job I've had has been in education. We know that's going to be very different from the research, that our students are going to be changing professions, total professions. So what skills are needed in that? What does that require? And we know that all of if 80% of our third graders are going to be entrepreneurs, then what skills and what should the classroom look like? And those are the questions we'll be asking. What do you want your classrooms to look like in order to make sure your students are successful? So this is exactly what Dr. Floyd was talking about. This is like 3 clicks. We know that although the purpose of education has remained steadfast, that we are here to academically and support our students, but also whatever it is that we need to do for them. We know the purpose, but we know the context has changed. It's a very different world, and the way that we go about doing that is very different. And so what we want to do again is we want to make sure that we are utilizing your resources to the best of our ability, and that we're taking the things that are not working effectively, as Dr. Floyd said, and we're strategically abandoning those. And that's something that, one more click, that's something that we will do in the lead portion. Once we have your plan developed, then we'll go in and talk about, we have strategic abandonment activities that we help the district with to identify those things that are not aligned with the strategic plan. And really, honestly, that's usually the teacher's favorite part, because we really talk about, here's some things we're going to take off your plate in order for you to be more successful. So it's always nice when we go into a district to let them know that we're not here to put more on your plate. We're here to make sure that the process is streamlined and that you're really getting more you get more money, you get more bang for your buck, everything. So we're really here to make sure that that happens for you guys. So when that happens, then you're using your resources and your roles and all your systems, which we'll talk about during the entire process, are aligned to make sure that we meet that purpose and that we are teaching in the environment that we need to be teaching. So that context gap is covered. So the principles of the model, again, the very most important thing that we do is we keep the entire process student focused. We make sure it's community-based. We want all of the input that we can gather. Well, I'll talk to you about how we're going to do that. We are going to use the document for the people as one resource. Everything that we do, we'll have it backed up with every single piece of information we bring forward. We'll have the research to support it. We want and we really require that the entire process be transparent. So we ask the districts to have a website link where we're continually posting the meetings, posting the work that is done at each of those meetings, so that everyone in the community can be engaged in the entire process. And the action plans that we help you guys create are very, very succinct as well. They are all to be accomplished within a year. And so we make sure that once the entire plan is finished, we identify the first 25% of the goals are chosen for year 1, and we make sure those action plans that are developed can be accomplished in 1 year, so that then you can roll to the next year objectives that you guys choose to do. And so you don't end up having this huge document that sits on the table and no one uses. It's very much a usable plan that is expected to be accomplished in a year. So the strategic vision, these are also components that they were talking about in the video. These are the components they say that the district should be discussing. And so we will make sure that we cover these as we talk throughout your community. And the ones that are important to your community will surface. And so that's where you start getting the individualization of what goals will be identified. But we will make sure that we hit all of those topics in our conversation. So the timeline, again, is very succinct. It takes, it's not a 6 weeks process, obviously, but each of the different pieces, we have a very specific timeline on how long it takes to do each piece. And so that, as you guys were told, we'll start in January, and more than likely we'll have a plan for you in May. But we like to give a little cushion. And so at the very latest, we'll have a report for you at the June board meeting. But I very much think we'll have one for you in May. We really like to finish and give everybody an opportunity to see everything before they leave, because more than likely the work will begin immediately in June to prepare for those objectives that you identified the first year for the next school year. So the first piece is called the engage piece that we discussed. In the engage portion, we do what is called summits. And so that's basically an open invitation to anyone in the community that would like to come and have a discussion with us about your student's future. And we have open mic. Of course, we have certain questions that we're there to ask. We like to get lots of input. The discussion will be me leading the discussion, but the majority of that evening, it's usually about a 2-hour meeting. It's the community giving input on what it is that they want to see happen in this plan. So we have about usually three or four of those in a district your size. And then we also have focus groups, which are about an 1.5-hour meetings that we have where we dig a little deeper. So we have the summits, we get some input, we're recording that, and then we go in, I take that information and I meet with individual groups of people. So I meet with a group of teachers, elementary and secondary, usually two, parents, business leaders, administrators, all of the people that we visit with the students. And I talk to them more about, what does this mean? This is what we heard in the summit, so what does that mean to you? And then at the same time that we're having the focus groups, we have a survey go out with the same questions for the people that couldn't come to the meetings, and we ask for their input as well. So after this stage, then which we discussed earlier, would probably take to about mid-February. Then we'll take all of that information, we'll gather it, we'll disaggregate it, we'll triangulate it actually, because it's 3 different resources that we're using. And then we'll go to the collaborate stage, where we really begin to form the design team. We start asking people if they'll serve on the design team, which is about 35 to 40 people. And we go out in the community and advertise the work. We show what we have so far. And it's a big opportunity, again, for us to be transparent with everyone. So the next thing then we go into is the design portion. And this is where that 35 to 40 people, that cross-section where students are included, we take that information and from your community, what they said was important, we develop belief statements, your call to action, which is your mission statement, your profile of a learner, which are the skills that you guys think are most important for the district. From those skills, we make learner outcomes, and then we just establish goals for the district. So you literally go in with a blank slate, you take the data that we've collected from your community, and you develop these things. And so it's my job as a facilitator to make sure those 35 people are listening to what your community said, right? So we'll refer to the data lots during those 2 days, looking and making sure the plan that we have reflects the sentiments of your community.
Let me just stop you there for a second. And board members, if you will, I would ask that you start thinking about maybe 2, 3, 4 people that you think would be good people to set on that design team. And she's going to get to it in a minute, but that's a 2-day process there. So there'll need to be somebody that can devote 2 days to helping us out design this project. So if you could in the next 2 or 3 days think about 2 or 3 or maybe 4 people that you would like to recommend. It would be good to set on that design team if you'll just email that to me, and we'll start kind of making a running list. We'll probably get more recommendations than can fit on that 30 or 40 member panel, but better to have too many recommendations and names than not enough.
Can I ask a question? Yes, sir.
In working on all this, do facilities come into play in this, or is it just?
If it comes up, yes.
It's very organic.
Start with
so
a
it's
blank
what drives.
sheet, and it's everything is open for discussion.
I figured that's going to be.
Right. So, and we asked 2 board members to serve. We have a formula, of course. You know, it's 2 board members, a few business leaders. We like higher education people that you are partners with to be there, a couple if you can. Then, of course, a student. We usually put you in groups of 5, again, because we have a lot of discussion where we discuss, we make recommendations, we come together and get consensus from the group. But if there are 35, then we want at least 1 student for each of those 5 groups. And so again, we want a student's voice in every single discussion that we have. You'll have an elementary and secondary principal, and then of course an elementary and secondary teacher. You'll have a couple of central office people. So you can see it's a very much of a cross section of your community that we'll invite. The hard thing is we ask them 2 days. And so it's 2 full days. We start at 8 and we end at 6, both days, and it takes all of that time. But I can tell you that they will leave being an ambassador for your plan. And we ask them to do that as well. And we encourage you guys, after we finish, then to really kind of take the show on the road and go to all of your schools in your community and share the plan with them. And we have the people that were in that design team help facilitate those meetings. It's our recommendation. So that's a big piece. The design piece is a very important piece of the process. And again, these are the things that you will be developing. Your beliefs, your call to action, or your mission statement. So your beliefs tell you the why, and we start with that because once we establish your core foundational beliefs, the other things come much easier. And so that if there is debate in the group, I simply refer back to your beliefs, and they guide the discussion. And they keep things on track to make sure that we are making sure we design things that are reflective of what the community wants. You establish your goals, then we go into specific results, which are your objectives, and then the last thing are the strategies or the plan that we put in place. So create is when we take the goals that were established from the design team and we actually create action plans. And so we will be working with you guys for those 1-page action plans. Like I said, we try and get them in 1 page. Sometimes you have to make the font really small. But we try and get them all in 1 page. And again, remember that they happen in 1 year. And we make sure that all of those action plans are doable, right? We're not going to leave you with things that are impossible for your district to do. But we also, make sure we're pushing everyone, right? We want the very best rigorous plan that we can leave with. And so we want to make sure that that happens. And then the very last stage is that lead stage where we're creating timelines, we're establishing metrics, we're aligning to district plans. We put all of your information in your district improvement plan, and then of course that feeds into your campus plans to make sure again that we leave you with an actionable plan. So here's just a visual to show you how all of those things fit together. Again, it's very important to me personally, having sat in many of your seats in the school district, that we leave you with a plan that is truly going to get done. And so I already offered some ideas on how you can, everything that you do once your plan is created will relate right back to that strategic plan. Your decisions will be based off of what goals that you established in that plan. And then lastly, we talked about the leadership role, what your role as a board and your role as a superintendent and central office person is to make sure that we're, again, transparent, that we're communicating every piece of the plan, that we're asking and inviting, and we want participation. We want you there. We want to hear your voice. We want to push for the leaders to be innovative and to make connections throughout the community. And so those are very important parts of Engaged Learning's strategic planning process. So this is from your vision statements too, from the for the people piece, where we want to design and start a meaningful conversation, and that's what we want to do. We want to have this meaningful conversation with all your stakeholders at the table, so that we establish a plan that's going to take those students like you have and make sure that they continue to be successful. So that's like 6 months in, pretty quickly, in just a few minutes. And so I'd love to answer any questions that you have.
It is a big undertaking, and it involves a whole lot of people and a lot of time and effort and energy. And so before we get on to the contract, let's just pause here and kind of go around the table and see if board members have any questions of Nellie. Yeah?
The facilitator, the other separate document there, is just an example of the responsibilities for the leaders in the district. And you can see just by glancing there that it's an involved, yes sir. It's an involved process, but it's obviously we want to make sure that every single I is dotted and every single T is crossed. And so we want to make sure that the entire process is a positive one for you and that you end with the result that you want to have.
Matt, you have any questions?
Off the top of my head, no.
All right, Joe?
Probably. Keeping this aligned with our visioning project, which we spent 1 weekend a month for 18 months in developing. And I'm wondering if on your page where you have aligned design products, we talked about, transformation was a key word, and also pathways instead of plans or procedures or things like that. And this is a trivial thing in the overall project, but I'm wondering if on the aligned design products, we could talk about campus transformational pathways and district transformational pathways, or incorporate a little bit of that more into the language. And you've done an excellent job in other areas of really integrating part of our plan.
Actually, our process is called designing transformation.
Yay.
So yeah, that fits perfectly. So you'll hear those terms a lot, and definitely we can incorporate the pathways to let people know that individual piece, right? Right. Most definitely.
I do have a question on putting together the group of the community to come in. Do you have any recommendation on people to reach out to? I mean, because I think we could all start naming people who are in a way involved in our education in the community, even if they're business leaders or what. But would you recommend reaching beyond people like that and getting to people who aren't necessarily as involved now? Or
I think it's important for you to have both, right? Now, one thing that I have learned is through this process, especially through the summits and focus groups, people will emerge. And pleasantly, it's sometimes people that you go, we've never heard of this person before, but we're very excited about that. So it will naturally, usually, it has every time occurred where people, because they start hearing, and as you have each summit, your attendance will grow. And so I will be looking to identify those people as well, because I'm biased, right?
Right.
I don't know who they are.
Right.
But you do have suggestions on that design team, certain categories of
We
people.
do,
Yeah.
definitely.
So if you could email that to me, then I'll forward it on out
Perfect.
to them, and they can be thinking about different categories.
Yes. You do want to, that's a great point. You do want to, though, reach out to people other than the ones that are always involved, right? Because that, true, will make it a better plan. And so if you have a community area that maybe they're not as involved, then you probably want to be strategic about that and make sure that a voice from that community is on that design team. And so we do have a formula that, you know, we have, and I'll get that to you first thing tomorrow. But definitely great point. You know, you don't want to call in the people that you always call in, because that also makes it more transparent, right?
Right.
And so people will really go, wow, it wasn't just the same few. And you know, it's everywhere. You know, I always think, you know, there's always a core group of people that do a lot of the work, but this is an opportunity to reach out to others.
I was telling Melody, sorry, go ahead.
And an opportunity to broaden the support base at the
Yes.
same time.
I was telling Melody and the central office cabinet this afternoon when we were meeting briefly that one of the most beneficial things in this process when we did it last time was that we worked very hard at trying to get a broad cross-section of the community, and that ended up being some that are involved all the time, others that are kind of involved, and then others that are not involved at all. But I heard time and again that one of the things they were most pleased with was that we came in and started the process with a blank sheet, and everything was on the table. And that they liked that because some, when they were invited to participate, felt like they were just going to rubber stamp what the administration already had in mind anyway, and that was not the case at all, and that's not the way the process is designed at all, right?
And you will get lots more community involvement because of that. People will start seeing that. And the people that serve on that design team, and the reason you want to reach out to all areas, is they become an ambassador for the plan. And so maybe they weren't that involved, but they will be afterwards. And so it's a great way to capture them and get them more involved in the process. But yes, it's very organic. Every plan is different. I mean, you obviously are going to have some consistent things. We're going to have something about curriculum and instruction in there. We didn't, it would not be good. But, you know, the actual objectives that are established and really the goals and the categories will come from your community. So it's a very organic process. And that's one thing that we always get positive from.
All right. Well, I'm admitting to you that I'm the cynic of the group when it comes to outsourcing and consultants, so keep that in mind. But I want to hear what you think, though. How do we determine success? And then I want to hear what you think are some success stories that your company's been involved in that might speak to us and say, yeah, we want that for our community.
All right. Well, we have lots of clients, so we have lots of opportunities for you guys to go on and see the clients. Because again, we want the process to be transparent, right? And so their information is all over their website at the districts. One success story that I just heard that I was really super excited about, it was a very large district, and we did the whole strategic plan, and we did the strategic abandonment activity, and I have continued to work with them. It hasn't just been just for that process. I'm actually going back and doing their year 2 piece. But you know, we work so well, become personal friends, right, with these people that I'm working with and the community members. I have so many different connections of people that have served on the design team that send me articles and things. They're like, oh, I thought about you when I read this, Melody, I wanted to send it to you. But one really exciting thing was that district, the superintendent went back this year, because they had been in the whole entire process this year, and went in August, and they have a big convocation for their district. And their whole focus was their strategic plan. And so they announced the things that had been accomplished in that year as a result, and the things that had been abandoned because of a result of the strategic plan, and they received a standing ovation from the teachers and staff. And so it's very meaningful, right? And it was an actionable plan that really has made an impact in that district. And so that's one.
One thing I can add, Ernie, to chime in on that particular topic is, it was my experience that, as I said earlier, once we went through this process and came together and all agreed that this is the plan that we want to move forward with, was that it gave us then a roadmap that every time something came up, we could say, well, now how does this fit into our strategic plan that we all agreed on? And if it did, we moved forward with it. If it didn't, we didn't. And she talked about taking chunks of it, 25% the first year, and then reprioritize and take another chunk the next time. And our experience was that we ended up getting everything in our plan completed in a shorter time period than 5 years. It really took us about 3.5 to 4 years to complete that. And I think, and if you can look back then at any plan at 3 or 4 years down the road and say, we did almost everything that we had in that plan, then that's a successful plan. And hopefully you don't have anything in there that's not beneficial to students.
Right. Another thing about having us come in and help you is I'm totally unbiased to what is happening. I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. But that adds sometimes a lot of credibility as far as having those conversations, because I'm just facilitating the conversation. You know, I always say I don't have a horse in the race, right? I wouldn't facilitate where my own children go to school, because that probably, you know, I'm probably a little biased about some things I'd want to see. And so it really offers me, and it offers you, an opportunity to have someone that is unbiased. And once those belief statements are created from your design team, it's my job as your facilitator to make sure that all of those decisions are being made based off of those beliefs. And so it's often advantageous to have someone that's in that role to help with that. One thing that we do want to do though, and we have the entire process, we give you all of the resources and all of the research and all of the data. We want to give that to you because we want to empower you to continue the process. You don't, I mean, when you're done with me, if you want me to come back, I'd love to. But we equip you so that you can continue the process, right? So we give you all of the resources, and those are yours until you decide not to use them. And so that's another advantage, is that we, you know, model, and we give you the information, and we empower you to move on.
Jenny?
I don't really have anything specific. I just hope that you have a great way to get people to attend the summits. Because Amber and I have done this for many years, and we've had that sort of meeting where 5 people showed up.
Right. Never had that happen, and we've done very small to very large districts. You know, with the very small ones, we only have 1 or 2 summits because they don't have a lot of people attend those meetings. We've had wonderful turnout, and we've always had it grow. Once you have one meeting, the next meeting there's more, and the next there's more. A big piece of that is the marketing piece that Amber and I have already talked about, that we really stress branding the process, and then just flooding your community. And we have all of those resources to give you on how to flood the community with the meeting dates and the times and the different offerings. So we want, right, your plan will be better the more people that participate. Right. And so we really, and with the survey also, remember that that's going to be sent out, and you don't even have to attend the meetings in order to give your input as well. But we want them there. We want them face to face to have a conversation.
Randy and I actually brainstormed this afternoon some ways we could do some piggybacking that time of year that would help with some crowds that might already be in attendance for some events.
That'd be good.
Kern Lilly?
Food.
The one question I have is on the timelines. And I hear you guys talking about a 5-year plan and maybe accomplishing some of that sooner, but does any of this look out farther? There may be some long lead items.
Yeah,
maybe a 2 or 3 part
It is by
process.
design intended to take chunks, like she said. It's a 4 or 5 year plan generally, and take chunks. But it was my experience, and you can speak to this in other districts, but it was my experience that we did look beyond that, but we looked at baby steps that we needed to take first that would lead toward something bigger down the road.
Right.
Is that been your experience?
Yes.
So some shorter, but then also some longer type goals making that.
Yes.
Because in reality, what you're going to do is 4 or 5 years down the road, you're going to redo it, and those little baby steps that you took then become bigger steps into the next plan.
And that will naturally happen as you're moving forward. Research shows that you need to come back and refresh your plan at least within 5 years, because things change so rapidly. right? But as you're working through, and you'll begin to identify those long-term, I worked with a district that wanted to initiate a one-to-one. What was gonna take them with computers, it was gonna take them more than a year to get that done. And so, that as those things come up, then we create long-range plans for those as well.
But the long-range plans aren't off the table on this.
Oh, no.
Everything is on the table, good point. Board members, if you will, pull up the attachment on 4B2, and I'll refer you to page 10 of 13 in that document. Basically, that document just summarizes everything Melody just said, but I want to get to the money piece of this. And anytime you embark on an endeavor like this, it's not cheap. So you'll see the bottom line of what this is going to cost us is listed there on page 10 of 13. And I will tell you that that dollar figure there of $43,050 plus expenses is less than our district spent, which was a smaller district than this. So as far as strategic planning expenses go, I think that is a pretty good deal. And then Carl tells me that last time this district embarked on a strategic planning process, it was over $50,000. Is that right? So I give you those two side notes just as comparison purposes. So $43,050 plus expenses will be our cost, and that is to facilitate this plan from start to finish, right, Melody?
Yes, yes, sir. And then beyond, if you have questions, I'm not going to desert you. I think like I said, I have an ongoing relationship with every single district that I've worked with that continually, we keep in contact when they need assistance.
How many districts will you be working with probably at the same time? Just yes.
Yeah, 3. Yeah, I'm going to school full time, and so I balance that with this job, and so I don't overbook myself. Plus, I have 4 children.
Tell them the positions that you've held.
Teacher for 10 years, an elementary and secondary principal, special programs, special ed, special needs, well, all special programs, I've done them all, and deputy and associate superintendent for school districts. Last one being a $35,000.
All right, so that is actually the action item that the administration is recommending tonight, is to approve that contract for the amount that's listed on page 10 of 13.
Move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? I just want to say that since I said I'm the cynic, I do want to support this just because I think we heard a great presentation, but also one of the things that we did when we brought Dr. Floyd into our district was we made a commitment to basically look to him for leadership and guidance in improving our district. And I think that this is his desire to see us do this and use it for future reference. And so I want to do it if for no other reason than to support him in his efforts to just make us a better school district. So that's where I stand on it.
When's the last time we did one of these? How long ago?
Would have been 2008, 9, when we started the survey for our last month issue.
But it was basically the facility.
Facility analysis.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because one of the things, that comments that we had last time I did this was some people thought, well, you're only doing that such that you can lead into the next bond issue. And that is not the case because I refer back to the whole blank sheet idea. Everything is on the table. Now, very well, facilities may be a piece of that, but as you can see in this pamphlet here that I referred to earlier, if you'll open that up and look at the inside, it covered finance, facilities, technology, community involvement, curriculum, character education, and personnel. Now, those may or may not be the broad categories that we end up with in this district, but if you just go down that list, you can see it's pretty broad and comprehensive. So We may have some of those items, we may have some different items.
Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm gonna make you a believer, Mr.
Did you
Courier.
come from all the way, did you come from Portland, Texas to do this?
No, I live in Dallas,
Okay.
so.
But she was going back behind, so she's got to drive in front of her. So thank you for coming, Melody.
I do, yes. It was a pleasure. I look forward to working with you guys.
Now, Carl will take care of the contractual
Yes.
issues.
Issue a purchase order and sign the contract tomorrow.
Thank you.
Moving forward on our agenda, the next items up for action are the consent items. And so anything under 4C, which takes us through 4C7, would be consent items unless somebody wants to pull anything and talk about it specifically. Any questions on those consent items? Okay, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Anybody?
Second.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to.
You all can't take it all night.
You're holding down your side of the table, I think.
Yeah. Nobody's here to help me, so. I don't wanna be here all night.
Yeah, one last chance for discussion. If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we're under 5D, and let's start with 5D1. Carl, are you going to lead us through these?
Sure. These are encumbrances, purchase orders number 1503 through 1689 in total amount of $178,816.62. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, is there any questions about that? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5D2.
These are change orders to the general fund purchase orders in the sequence just prior to the ones you approved, in total amount of $285,879,54. Do need to acknowledge that some of those are new purchase orders within sequences that are reserved for maybe departments. A lot of that was in the food service division. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. 5D3.
Building fund purchase orders number 55 through 58 in a total amount of $70,666.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just had a question with the class of 50. Does that mean we're,
The bricks are laid in a nice arc near the fountain.
they're happy?
We've got the last 2 bricks just today, which we ended up a few bricks long in terms of the spacing. It kind of changed from the original layout. And those bricks will be for DeWitt Waller and DeRuth Sullivan. So those will complete the project, and the class is very pleased.
Yes, I talked to one of the ladies that had been to some of our board meetings, and she indicated that they were pleased.
Good.
Good job. Yes.
Other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5D4.
These are activity fund for gifts and donations, purchase orders number 14 and 15 in a total amount of $2,349. Recommend approval.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Brings us to the financial report. Oh, moving too fast, pretty far.
Lots of pages to shuffle, just in case there's questions. Call your attention to the finance report. I do have detailed copies if anyone is interested in one. I'll start them around the room.
You can send them that way.
That way,
I got
okay.
mine on there.
Okay. What you're looking at on your iPads are the one-line summaries for all of the funds that are currently active in our financial accounting system. Call your attention to the collected amount in the general fund at the end of September. We had, including our fund balance, $16,286,000 in round numbers, which leaves us yet to collect on the estimate of needs approximately $42.5 million. As of the end of September, we had encumbered $52,721,000 and had issued payments in the amount of $8,497,000, leaving us a cash balance of $7.7 million, far right end of those columns, and an unencumbered balance of just a little over $6 million. So we're in really good shape at this point in the year. Some school districts in the state of Oklahoma are starting to look at cash flow problems and maybe not being able to issue payable warrants from October through about December is the period that some districts encounter those problems. As long as we maintain an adequate fund balance, we will not encounter those kinds of problems. So that's just another plug to keep an eye on that fund balance from year to year and not involve too many recurring costs in the expenditures beyond what we actually take in for the year. The rest of the funds are summarized there, one line at a time. You can take a look at them. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them. Otherwise, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented. One other comment on our, I was hoping to make this while Melody was still here, just kind of float our community. But of the $3.4 million in pledged private donations for our comprehensive building plan, we have collected $3.315 million of that $3.4 million. So we're very close to having collected all of that. Some of those pledges run past the new year for 2015, so it'll be a little while longer before we collect all of this. So another big thank you to our community for pledging and providing those kinds of funds for improving our facilities.
I would move we approve the financial report.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any discussion? I have a question, Carl, and this may be something that you just have to make a rough guess at, but I know that after the first of the year, there's a sales tax that rotates out where we're sharing with the city of Enid and many other districts that come into our community. Do you have any idea what that's going to cost us if that goes away?
Actually, I believe we continue to receive money on that through 2018.
Doesn't it come up for a vote though next year?
It may come up for a vote, but I'm not sure I can answer that accurately. I was thinking that we received those residual payments through 2018. Let me dig the contract out. I can tell you that we get over $250,000 a year on that. In some years, we've gotten as much as $500,000, which we've plugged into various building projects.
Well, for some reason, and I could be totally wrong, I'm wanting to say that there's going to be a vote on that next year. And I will tell you that I believe the city wants to end the partnership.
Well, I've heard that also.
Because they want the money obviously in their coffers, and obviously I'm going to appreciate the city's efforts in helping us with that because the folks who were there at the time that did that are just wonderful people. Anyway, we obviously need to try to keep that if we can.
Yes.
And I don't know how we go about that, but we certainly need to start strategically planning for that too. Because somehow we've got to convince our city fathers to keep us on that.
It was tied to the base realignment commission, and the city sold bonds, and I've forgotten the exact amount, but they gave us about $6 or $7 million to improve Emerson and Enid High School prior to our comprehensive improvement plan. And Eisenhower, right. Well, I think we did Eisenhower out of our building fund, and we had already done it first. But the money to retire those bonds, those revenue bonds, was provided by that sales tax. I mean, we have been getting the excess above those bond payments every year as residuals. And those have grown to the point where we're collecting between $250,000 and $500,000 a year in that municipal sales tax fund that has really helped us complete all of our building projects. In fact, it's been largely responsible for about half of this building next door. So we definitely need to build a bridge with our city leaders and let them know that we would love to continue to participate.
Would you be willing to do me a favor and check into when that comes up and find out when we need to be concerned about that?
Would it, once he pulls out all that information, would it help if Carl and me and you sit down with Bill Shuey, or do you reckon that's?
Well, that's probably that's the tack we're going to have to take. It's going to have to be a political discussion.
Sure.
Because obviously, like I said, the city's going to want their money back. I mean, because sales tax has always kind of been their baby, and the ad valorem has been ours. And so it's one of those things that they're going back. But the other key is we're going to have partners too, because what is it, 7 districts come into the city of Enid, and so there's other school districts that have been the beneficiary of this tax too. They're going to jump on our bandwagon. Mr. Tilley has already mentioned it to me from Chisholm. So we're not the only district that's receiving these funds.
There's lots of
believe it or not, Garber receives some of this money. So it's been beneficial to many districts. So it's something we certainly need to stay abreast of and monitor so that we're on top of it.
Once Carl has had a chance to research that, we'll send you guys a little information on that via email, and then maybe Ernie and Carl and I, and maybe Roy sit down with Bill first, and then go from there.
Yeah. Good idea. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up. Any other discussion on the financial report? You started to say something.
That's fine. I'll get on that first thing in the morning and let you know what the expiration is.
No further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay.
Resolution 605.
This is a standard resolution calling for our annual election. This year we will be calling for an election of 2 offices.
Excited face, I think that was.
Office number 1, currently held by Mr. Simpson, and office number 2, currently held by Ms. Turnbull. And both of those offices will be up for election, and we certainly encourage our current incumbents to file for office as soon as they can, which will, by the way, be the first week of December. And my advice.
There's only 3 days to file. Don't miss them. I'll be calling you.
A really good strategy is to file as early as you can on the first day, and that will discourage other filings that might take place.
If you can express your intent to file as early as you would like.
Sure. Absolutely. So
We're waiting.
Okay.
And if you all want to make the motion, you know.
Is it okay to motion to approve your own
Yeah.
impeachment?
It's just the election.
what you're going to do is move to approve the resolution, which officially calls for the election, which will give you the opportunity ultimately to file.
Is that a motion, Tori?
Motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 5G.
This one has my name on it, but I'm going to defer to Amber as our HR director to explain this a little bit too.
The state of Oklahoma has the opportunity to set guidelines for how they will abide by No Child Left Behind rules, which includes highly qualified status of teachers. And in Oklahoma, a teacher can be an adjunct instructor for one section a semester for a class that he or she is not certified to teach in the state. And so we are asking this year for Mrs. Maxey at the high school to be an adjunct instructor for AP Statistics. and for Mrs. Alvarado to teach Spanish, one section. She's our ELL teacher and is fluent in Spanish at Longfellow for one section. This is a one-year request because both of the teachers are making arrangements to take the certification test for these two areas. The state requires that your board minutes reflect that we have the approval of this board, and then they'll go ahead and accept our application.
Move to approve.
Second.
Did I have a motion?
Yes.
Second?
We're talking Roman numerals.
It was pointed out to me that I said 5G and it's actually 4G. So.
I won't mention how many times you've been mentioning that, but
I acknowledge my error. Any discussion on this before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4H.
This is our traditional approval of out-of-state travel by students that are going to officially represent our district. Kayla Stromsock, a senior cheerleader, will be attending, or with our permission, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in New York City this year, November 21st through 25th. Mr. Deerschmidt, high school principal, is aware of this and approves the activity. So recommend approval of allowing her to travel to the state.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I'm just curious as to why we as a board have to approve that if she's raised the funds.
This is a long tradition that dates back to a time when the State Department of Education actually required board approval for any student group or student to travel out of state. So
Just
it's
because
something
they're representing our district.
representing our district.
Okay.
It's not a requirement.
It's not a
Tradition.
requirement any longer, it's a tradition.
Okay.
We used to have to file the actual action with the State Department years ago and let them know that we had approved out of state.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4I. IRS.
We are recommending that the board authorize our district to offer an additional supplemental retirement savings plan offered under, or authorized by Section 457B of the Internal Revenue Code. This is very similar to products that we offer our employees that's authorized through Section 403B of the Internal Revenue Code, commonly referred to as tax sheltered annuities. There are some subtle differences between the 457 plan and the 403B plan that are in general more desirable for some of our younger employees. They're a little bit more portable. They have somewhat relaxed requirements in terms of when these can be withdrawn without tax penalties. So I recommend approval of adding this to our menu of opportunities for our employees to save for supplemental retirement plans.
Move we approve.
Second.
Any other discussion?
Does this make a whole lot more work for your?
No, it really won't. It won't be that difficult. In fact, Cindy Sheever, our new business office manager, brought this with her as an idea for something we could add for some of our younger employees.
That's good.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 4J.
I'll introduce this, but I'll defer to Melanie Howe, who is spearheading the group that is developing this policy. Recent state statutes require that we provide a policy that governs what's referred to commonly as the Parents' Bill of Rights, or participation in school districts by parents and patrons. So this is a model policy that was provided by the Oklahoma State School Boards Association, and I'll kind of let Melanie tell you how we are going to work with our parents and students and the committee to review that policy and make it available to our public.
The committee already met in early October. We discussed that this is basically an umbrella policy. You'll see listed at the end of the model policy several state statutes that are already included in our board policy. This policy just sort of brings everything together, announces that parents have a Bill of Rights. The committee discussed how to make this more transparent to parents. We certainly will post it as part of our board policies on our website. Amber's even working on the policy itself with some hot links so that they could cross-reference to other board policies. And then we can make some minor adjustments to our student handbook so that it would be more transparent for parents. The committee recommended the model policy with no changes.
You'll note at the bottom of the policy as presented in the board packet.
Everybody find the sample policy? 3 pages.
You'll note at the bottom in that boxed area on adoption date that it's set for November 17th, 2014. That's because our policy for adopting new policies requires 2 readings or 2 presentations to the board, commonly referred to as readings. This will be the first one. The policy has been posted all weekend with the agenda in the front and has been posted on our website for people to look at. And it will be done so the same way for the November 17th meeting, and then at that time the board would take action to actually adopt the policy.
This is just first reading.
This is the first reading.
Still take action now?
Don't need to take any action.
No action, just report and first reading. We'll have it on there again next month. Thank you, Melanie.
Brings us to new business. Is there any new business to discuss?
No, sir.
Okay. Go on then, reports from our superintendent.
All right.
Get your stack of papers.
I'll try to expedite this for Mr. Carrier's benefit. You have 2 documents there that look like this from the State Department of Education. I emailed this to you today, I believe, but I don't know if you had a chance to look at your emails. The first one is about the flu and Ebola and things like that. The State Department sent this one out. It's got some links down there at the bottom. Everybody find it? But basically, they wanted to provide school districts with some information that they could share with parents, what parents need to know about the enterovirus, the flu, and the Ebola, fact sheets for parents, questions, question and answers, and that type of thing. So Joni McIntyre, head nurse, has been working on gathering information, and you didn't have time to get this on our website today, did you?
No, but it'll be up by tomorrow.
Joni's going to work with Amber to put this information on our website, but also maybe Joni's going to word some things that are pertinent to our school district, because I know as time goes on here with all of those issues, especially since now we're in flu season, we're going to get more and more questions about that. So, you know, I don't think it's anything that people need to overreact to. Just all parents need to be aware of that, and it's easy sometimes to overreact on hearing things about Ebola and all that, and it is serious. I'm not saying that it's not, but we also schools can't solve all problems. We just need to be aware of symptoms and things like that, and not every fever and not every flu-like symptom is something worse. So, but I think it'll at least help parents if we put some of that stuff on the website. Second one from the State Department is information about, I found it very interesting that on the day that most school districts had fall break, that was the day, last Friday, that the State Board of Education met to deal with this issue, knowing that nobody was going to be there. But they did ask to our measured progress for the testing cycle. And then if you'll flip that over on the back, that sheet on the back, those are the testing dates. So I'm sure we'll be getting more information about that. But our students and our counselors and our testers will have the work cut out to make those, get everything ready to meet those deadlines and testing dates. Okay,
Do you know anything about this company? I mean,
yeah, just that what I read here, that they have been used before, right?
We used them for our field test last spring.
do you feel like this is going to be a quality group we're working with this time? Or?
I'm not endorsing any testing.
For resounding, maybe.
Yeah.
Wait and see.
We'll see. We'll
They
cross our
were
fingers.
hired to field test Common Core items. You know, the good news is that we at least have a direction now, so we have a place to kind of go and get more information.
Okay, a few dates that I want to mention to board members. I think earlier we talked, Carl mentioned the donations, significant donations that this school district has received, and we were very appreciative of that. One of those donations was for the NIMSI grant for the Math and Science Initiative, and that's kind of tied to AP tests and scores and that type of thing. So, board members, if you want to pencil in or make note of November the 21st at 9:30 a.m., the high school is going to have an event over at the auditorium on that day. I believe that's a Friday, November 21st at 9:30 a.m., where we'll be recognizing donors and celebrating that NIMSI grant. Anything to add to that?
They had a fabulous assembly last year. I don't know if any of you were able to attend, but it was really pretty incredible. Yeah, it was like an athletic assembly, but for academics, so it was pretty cool.
So if you're available, we'd love to have you there if you want to join us.
You send out a reminder, Carol, please.
Yeah, we'll send you something in advance, I'm pretty sure we'll. Next date is Thursday, November the 6th, and that is the OSSBA Region 3 board meeting. I believe Carol's already been in touch with you guys about that and who we have signed up to attend that meeting. And again, that's I believe that's in Stillwater. Starts at it says pre-regional meeting workshop at 5:30, and then the Region 3 meeting at 6:30. So do we generally do the pre-meeting?
Those who can usually go to that. That's an extra point in their training.
Okay.
So sometimes we take two cars, one that can go early and one that
Okay.
can't.
All right, so we've got Colin, Ernie, Willa Joe, Matt, myself, Tori, Jenny, Kyle, and Carl signed up for that. So everybody still on go? You won't come back for that?
Permission from my wife.
All right. Did we already send that in? Do you remember?
Right offhand, I don't
We'll
remember, but
check it out next
pretty sure I
tomorrow.
did.
Just make
Carl,
sure.
what time will we leave?
4:30 to get there for the 5:30 session. Takes right out of there.
Okay.
And I believe everyone signed for the early one,
Okay.
They did?
if I remember. I'll have to check my,
And
so many
we can
different
set,
ones I have to
and it won't
remember.
be an issue to take two vehicles if we need
I
to.
have two years.
Good deal, thank you. We got a good article published from the Oklahoman on September the 28th about our Marshall Lee students, and Amber worked with Mike Coffick, was it? Yeah, and so that was good publicity for what our teachers and educators do with that population. Okay, next date is November the 12th that I want to mention to you, and that is the USSA Legislative Dinner, and that is in Oklahoma City. Starts at, registration opens at 5:30, they have a little reception, and then the meeting starts at 6. And I believe Carl and I are going for sure, and Carol wanted to survey the board members to see who needs to be signed up.
Tori said no, Ernie said no, and I haven't heard from anyone else.
Anybody else want to go?
Jenny's no.
Yeah.
Matt.
That's a no.
Colin and
Still
Kyle are
Water's got a
gone,
party
so.
Not
Okay, guys, you're representing the district.
Do what?
I said it's just you two.
Oh, it's
I'll
just me
have
and
to-
Carl?
oh,
Okay.
well, I'll have to check with Colin and Kyle.
Okay, you'll check with them tomorrow, and then we can send that registration in. You don't have this handout, oh, maybe you do, yeah, you do. Got this long sheet on our enrollment, and we're up to 8,081. So, that's good.
And that's a mean, that 81 is pretty much all increase, right? Wasn't it, weren't we like 2 students over 8,000 last time or something like that?
Yeah, we've increased for sure. And the projection last time we did the demographic study wasn't that we were going to be over 8,000 until 2018 or something. All right. This is the stadium, and just since I've been here, I've heard lots of complaints about how little space there is here between the blue seat and reserve seats. You all know what I'm talking about. Your knees hit the one in front of you, and then if anybody is sitting in the middle and needs out, everybody has to almost vacate to let them out. All right, so if you've been up to the stadium, we tried something and took about 3 or 4 of these seats out here on this second row, and just to see how it would look. And so if you can visualize taking out every other row, then it frees up knee space and everybody's happier, and it also creates a lot more walking space in between. So just want to let everybody know that after football season, we're going to be taking out every other row and moving it over here, and moving every other row over here will go all the way up to the top. So we'll have this section blue and this section blue. It'll create more knee space and more walking space here. So I just want to let you know that we'll be doing that after football season. And then I think it'll make the people in this reserve section a lot happier, and I think we'll probably fill all of this blue section up. So.
The other comment that I heard when we were working on the stadium before was, you know, how steep the stairs are, and some of the older fans came to me and said, you know, we need some kind of a rail, especially when we're coming down. But what I heard was checked into was that to put a rail down the middle, we would not have the required amount of space on each side of the rail.
Is that right?
That's correct.
So it would not work without taking out some of the concrete or something. But anyway, that's still a concern of people who would like to go to the games but really don't feel safe doing so because of the...
Do we have rails up this side?
No rails.
Can you put rails though on one side or the other and have the
What
adequate
you
space?
could consider doing, since these seats are going to be moved across, if there's any difference in the length of the rows.
This one?
Yeah, you could
Put a rail here or here.
You could expand that aisle, make some new steps, and put a rail up through there. If the
So they wouldn't have rails over here, but we might be able to create some rail section over here.
That section that divides the 2 blue sections, that stairway, you could maybe create a wider stairway that you could put a railing up the middle of it.
So I can't commit to it, but we'll look into it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because, you know, with my knee and everything, it's hard for me to get up there without it hurting, so I certainly think that's an issue. What was that?
I said, you've made me carry you twice.
Whatever it takes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, another date, November 3rd is our next meeting. It's our planning meeting. And Miss Jenny has offered to provide a meal for us that evening. So
We're going to have steak
taking
soup,
orders or
steak soup, homemade rolls, and cinnamon rolls.
what is it?
Steak soup, homemade rolls, and cinnamon rolls.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate you doing that. Terry Silver is going to be here, and board members, you will get 3 hours of board training credit for that. And I'm going to talk to Terry Silver tomorrow and see if we can kill 2 birds with that training. This video here, Amber and I watched it. Carl, you've seen it, and Randy and Melanie are going to watch it. But it's called Rise Above the Mark, and it's just out this year or in the last few months, right?
This summer.
Yeah, and it's got a number of the heavy hitter education folks like Diane Ravitch and Linda Darling Hammond and a number of other folks incorporated into this video. But I'll just read you a couple paragraphs here. Rise Above the Mark, narrated by actor Peter Coyote. He was the guy in Aaron Brockovich, if you saw that movie. Gives a glimpse inside America's classrooms and the struggles teachers and students experience as increased legislation, standardized testing, and the subsequent elimination of the arts create rote learning and heartbreaking time constraints, few hours remain in the school day for creative instruction and individualized study. Rise Above the Mark is a documentary for parents, teachers, school administrators, and taxpayers who care about providing a quality education for all students. And Rise Above the Mark sparks a much-needed conversation. It kind of chronicles some of the things that Indiana as a state is doing, and I think we can all learn from watching this. I've watched it, and it's really enlightening. So it's about an hour long, so I thought for that planning session we would maybe watch 30 minutes of it, and then let Terry have a segment in there, come back and finish the last 30 minutes, and let Terry finish up with her segment as well. And so we should be out of here in 2.5 to 3 hours. So, that's kind of the plan for the November 3rd meeting, and just a reminder that that meeting starts at 5:30 instead of 6. And all of the rest of our regular meetings, we move back to the start time of 6 o'clock like we did tonight. Okay. You might have seen where the state regents did certify that the PASS standards are college and career ready standards, and now what we need is the state to reapply for the waiver, but for some unknown reason the state superintendent says she is not going to do that. You want to shed any light on that for us?
I've been studying the report today from the regents. They went through and correlated PASS standards with ACT, college and career readiness standards. I'm not sure why she's not applying, except that if she doesn't, and depending on the results of the election in November, it would give us an opportunity to maybe wipe clean some of the reforms that she brought in with the waiver. But it puts us in jeopardy for how we're going to use our Title I funds for next year. So we're between a rock and a hard place right now.
So if she digs her heels in and says she's not going to reapply for the waiver, which is not the right thing for kids or educators or school districts or the entire state, then I guess we can look toward January when her replacement takes over to push the new state superintendent to very quickly reapply for the waiver. Of course, that's the good part. The bad part is we don't have any idea sometimes how long the feds will take to act on that request, because as you well know, there's some headbutting going on in politics. Are you aware of that?
Have either of the candidates expressed that they will quickly reapply for that if elected?
I don't think either one of them have even talked about it, because they, didn't know if the regents would sign off on the PASS standards. But then, I don't think anybody even imagined that if they did, she wouldn't reapply. But we've had meetings with both of them, and neither one of them, I don't think, said anything about it.
No, but they're having lots of candidate forums this week, so it may start to bubble up this week.
And is the gentleman still visiting?
Oh, he came.
I know he came early, but he's not still coming in.
No, he did that
at the end of the
last
month.
week instead.
Okay.
Yeah. I brought the visual of what the building next door is going to look like. I just moved it from out front in here just to remind you guys, if you want to look at it before you leave tonight, what it's going to look like. On November the 3rd, at the end of our planning meeting, if you guys want to, or we'll arrange to get the keys to unlock it and let you take a quick tour through there if you want to. But I don't want to go through that process unless you guys want to do that. It's been a while since we walked through there, and we have made, and you two weren't with us when we toured it last time, so we'll have to get a key from them. Oh, you have a key already.
They give you a key?
Well, they had to break in there, so they don't trust the superintendent with much. Have to go and ask permission to get in. But so we'll those of you that want to stay after November 3rd, we'll just walk next door. And
what are we thinking for completion date?
Yeah, that's what
February 19th.
Oh, we're up to February now.
See, it went from October to Christmas to February.
Yeah, we were supposed to be moving in it.
Yesterday. I believe, sir, that is the extent of my superintendent's report.
I always enjoy your reports.
Thank you.
It's very informative.
Appreciate that.
I don't remember all of it.
Oh, Yes, I do.
You just thought you were gonna.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Yeah,
We
this
have
is.
a portfolio. for
Free
all of
stuff.
you. Yeah. Actually, every once in a while I have a good idea, and this was one of them. And I brought this idea and I asked Amber if she could find a company that could do this for us. So all the administrators have one of these, and thought you guys would benefit by having it to take to meetings and that type of thing. And then you each have a newly minted Enid Public Schools coin handy there, and I have to give Mr. Rader credit for this because he being a military guy had this idea. So tell us about this, Randy.
In visiting buildings last year, you know, recognizing teachers, seeing them do a lot of good things, or anybody that has to do with the school, you know, sometimes things just isn't enough, and so I wanted a neat way that was people would appreciate, that meant something to them, and so I thought of the coin, kind of based on military tradition, kind of that shake your hand and present a coin and say, you know, thank you for doing good things for our kids, and through the foundation was able to find a donor that would provide that for us, and so we got several, and Ms. Howe and I and Dr. Floyd present those as we see fit. No real established criteria, just people that we see that are doing good things. We've had some kids get them, we've had adults, teachers, patrons, and so it's been a good thing already. And the idea is to hopefully grow that each year, you know, maybe come up with a different design each year based on different things that our vision, you know, and what we want for kids. So it's been a fun thing to do so far, recognizing teachers and other people in the district.
And to go along with the tradition, if a teacher slaps their coin down in the cafeteria, the others have to present theirs, or
yes,
somebody buys milk.
or somebody buys milk. Right, exactly. Yeah.
So that was a really good idea, and I wanted each board member to have one of these in case you get questions about it. So really good idea. Thank you, Randy. I believe that's it, sir.
All right. Colonel Lilly.
You just took my question there.
What was the challenge part of it? Right?
Nothing else to add. I just, again, want to say thank you to the board here as a whole for helping educate me on the process of education. So thank you, and look forward to Mr. Wade coming in and continuing that support and that relationship between Vance and the Enid Public Schools.
Well, again, we appreciate your service, and we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
And let us know when you run for board office in Georgia.
Go campaign
Take
for
your
you.
name with you. That way you have your name plaque.
And after tonight, I'm sure that you're looking forward to our next meeting so that you can jump right in here.
Big shoes to fill.
Colonel Lilly mentioned something about you feeding him often, so I'm looking forward to learning more about that.
I didn't mention the best food comes at those 3-hour plans.
So this is starting at a good time. November 3rd will be a good meal.
All right.
Are there any board comments and/or questions?
I would like to, especially for the benefit of Matt and Tori, tell you about I wish Colin and Kyle were here too, because once a year, the National School Board Association sponsors a conference, and they have some of the best workshops that you can imagine. And this year, it's going to be in Memphis. That hasn't been in Memphis for, I don't know if it's ever been in
Nashville,
But Nashville, I'm sorry, okay.
One of those Tennessee places.
You know, right, stay on. Okay, but anyway, usually it's in some place that is horribly expensive, like, you know, Los Angeles or San Diego or anyway, someplace. This is going to be more economical than any other location for us. And in fact, some people might even want to drive. But it's jam-packed with opportunities to learn. There are, you know, guest speakers come in to speak to the whole conference. But then you can choose a track of whatever workshops you want to attend that you think will help you the most. And they are very, very helpful. It's, you know, we don't need to reinvent the wheel on some of these things. We can, like they were talking with the visioning project, you know, we can learn from other parts of the country what's going on. It's March the 21st to the 23rd. And you can start registering now. You possibly have received an email about it, I'm not sure. I have, I know. And housing is one reason that you need to register early, because you can't reserve your housing until you are registered. So, and this is an important function of educating our board. So we do have in our budget that to pay for this, and
You have all that information, don't you, Carol?
I downloaded a little bit of it, but I can get more.
So, she can email you that information, email that information out to board members, and board members, if you want to attend, let Carol know, and she'll take care of that for you.
Registration opened October 15th, so I would advise getting, if you want a good hotel, so forth, get it to me as soon as you can.
they'll run a shuttle bus to bring you if you're very far away from the convention center, but you don't want to spend all your time.
Now, does OSSBA, have they already got your registration and everything taken care of, or?
I'll have to check with Mom. I'm not sure if they went ahead and did mine or not.
Okay. We'll find out and then let Carol know whether she needs to register or not.
If you've driven across I-40 lately, you will not want to drive.
Really?
The traffic between here and Memphis is atrocious. So, lots of construction. I just went over there a couple months ago, and it's, yeah, you don't want to drive. There were many places where I was standing still for long time frames. So.
Thank you for that information. I hope we can have a good representation, because it's
Any other comments or questions from
very
the board?
interesting.
Thank you, Little Joe. That wasn't even considered a rant. You kind of on your best behavior.
I had a very relaxing weekend.
Yeah. Next item on the agenda talks about our planning meeting that we've already discussed, and so we're excited about that. I'm excited about the meal. You always do a great job with the things you bring. So next regular meeting you see there is November 17th. Next point of yes.
I was going to mention there that I think I sent you guys an email about the Waller student and counselor that did the Highland maneuver on the counselor. We already had this agenda posted, so it's too late to add him to the agenda, but fire department is recognizing him, right?
The fire department recognized him this morning.
Okay.
The school recognized him. Melanie recognized him last week. And we posted everything on Facebook, and he has more than 135 likes.
So we will plan on recognizing him and the counselor also, both that helped that secretary at our November 17th regular board meeting.
Okay. Do we need an executive session?
Yes.
We do. Okay, then.
We'll try to be quick.
Do we need a motion to go into?
Yes, and I move.
No second.
Any discussion on that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's go. Just gonna do it here.
Yeah, we'll